Evil mother-in-law meets her match. They say when you marry a Nigerian man, you marry his entire family. But nobody warned Chioma that her mother-in-law would move into their home the same week they returned from their honeymoon. Nobody told her that Mama Tunde had already decided she wasn't good enough for her precious son. And absolutely nobody prepared her for the war that was about to unfold in her own kitchen. This is the story of how an evil mother-in-law finally met her match and learned that respect is not given freely, it is earned. Chioma still remembered the exact moment her marriage changed. It was a Tuesday morning, 3 weeks after her traditional wedding to Tunde. She was in the kitchen, humming while preparing breakfast, still wearing her nightgown and bonnet, feeling like the queen of her own small castle. Then she heard it. The familiar voice that would haunt her for the next 2 years. "Tunde! Tunde, my son! Come and carry my bags! Your mother has arrived!" Chioma's wooden spoon clattered into the pot of yam porridge. She ran to the bedroom where Tunde was still getting dressed for work. "Your mother is here," she whispered urgently. "You didn't tell me she was coming." Tunde avoided her eyes. Chioma, I wanted to tell you, but..." "But what? Your mother is standing in our living room with luggage." "It's just for a few weeks," Tunde said quickly. "Just until her house renovation is finished. Please, my wife, try to understand." Those few weeks would turn into months, and those months would feel like years. Mama Tunde swept into their 2-bedroom apartment like a storm. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her wrapper was tied with the precision of someone who had perfected the art of intimidation through perfect presentation. "Chioma," she said, not even glancing at her daughter-in-law, "this house smells like burnt food. What kind of wife cannot even cook breakfast without burning it?" The yam porridge wasn't burnt. Chioma had been cooking since she was 10 years old, but she swallowed the defense rising in her throat and forced a smile. "Welcome, Mama. Let me help you with your bags." "Don't touch my things with those careless hands," Mama Tunde snapped. "Tunde, come and handle this properly." And so it began. That first week, Mama Tunde rearranged every single item in Chioma's kitchen. She threw away Chioma's seasoning cubes, claiming they were too salty. She moved into the second bedroom, the one Chioma and Tunde had been saving to turn into a nursery someday. She woke up at 5 a.m. every morning to cook breakfast for Tunde, pushing past Chioma in the kitchen as if she were invisible. "A good wife wakes up before her husband," Mama Tunde would say loudly, banging pots. "But I suppose standards have changed in this modern generation." Chioma bit her tongue. She called her own mother for advice. "Be patient," her mother counseled. "She is your husband's mother. Show respect, and she will soften." But Mama Tunde did not soften. She hardened like cement. By the second week, Mama Tunde had criticized everything. The way Chioma dressed, "Too tight, you want to seduce other men?" The way she cleaned, "I found dust on the ceiling fan. What kind of housewife are you?" The way she spoke, "Too loud, too forward. Where is your home training?" Tunde would come home from work exhausted, and Mama Tunde would intercept him at the door. "My son, you look so tired. That's because your wife doesn't know how to take care of you properly. Come, I made your favorite soup." Chioma would stand in the kitchen, watching her husband eat the meal his mother prepared, while her own cooking sat untouched on the stove. When she tried to talk to Tunde about it at night, he would sigh heavily. "She's my mother, Chioma. She's just trying to help. Can't you try to get along with her?" "Get along? Tunde, she treats me like a maid in my own home." "You're exaggerating. She's just set in her ways. Give it time." But time only made things worse. By the second month, Mama Tunde had established a reign of terror disguised as helpfulness. She would invite her church friends over without telling Chioma, then complain loudly that there wasn't enough food prepared. "My daughter-in-law doesn't know how to anticipate guests," she would announce, shaking her head sadly. "Not like in my day when wives were properly trained."
Chioma bit her tongue. She called her own mother for advice. Withiksupa, take it easy. The final straw came on a Friday evening. Chioma had spent the entire day preparing a special dinner. It was her and Tunde's 6-month wedding anniversary. She'd brought fresh fish from the market, made his favorite okra soup from scratch, even baked a small cake using the oven in her friend's house because Mama Tunde had declared their own oven too complicated for someone who burns yam porridge. She set the table beautifully, lit candles, put on her best dress. She waited for Tunde to come home. 7 p.m. came. No Tunde. 8 p.m. Still no Tunde. At 8:30, Mama Tunde emerged from her room looking pleased with herself. "Oh, you didn't know? I told Tunde to take me to visit Pastor's house for evening prayers. We won't be back until late, very late." She glanced at the table. Such a waste of food. This is what happens when a wife cannot consult her husband's family before making plans. Chioma stood there, looking at the meal she'd poured her heart into, now going cold. The candles had burned down to stubs. The anniversary card she'd written sat unopened on Tunde's plate. Something inside her shifted. She didn't cry, she didn't shout. She simply walked to her bedroom, locked the door, and made a phone call. "Mama," she said quietly to her own mother, "I need to come home for a few days." When Tunde returned at 11 p.m. with his mother, he found the dining table cleared, the food put away, and Chioma's side of the closet noticeably emptier. Panic seized him. He knocked on the bedroom door. "Chioma! Chioma, open the door!" She opened it, her face calm, her overnight bag packed. "Where are you going?" "To my mother's house, for a week." "What? Why? Chioma, we can talk about this." "Talk?" For the first time in 2 months, Chioma's voice rose. "You want to talk now? After letting your mother disrespect me for 2 months? After missing our anniversary because she told you to? After choosing her feelings over mine every single day? Your mother is living in our house, eating our food, and treating me like I'm the guest. And you, Tunde, you have said nothing, done nothing. So now I'm doing something. I'm leaving for a week to think about whether I want to stay married to a man who is still his mother's boy instead of his wife's husband." The words hung in the air like smoke. Mama Tunde appeared in the hallway, her face triumphant. "You see, Tunde, I told you she was disrespectful. This is what happens when you marry these modern girls who don't know how to submit." Chioma turned to her mother-in-law, and when she spoke, her voice was ice. "Mama, with all due respect, I have submitted to your son. I married him. I cook for him. I clean this house. I work and contribute money to this household. What I will not submit to is being bullied in my own home by a woman who is supposed to be my mother too, but who treats me like an enemy." She picked up her bag. "When your son is ready to be a husband, tell him to come and find me. Until then, you two can enjoy living together like you clearly want to." She walked out, leaving Tunde standing there, frozen, finally seeing clearly what he'd been too blind to see. The first 3 days, Tunde called constantly. Chioma didn't answer. She needed the silence. She needed to think. She needed to remember who she was before she became so small, trying to fit into the impossible space Mama Tunde left for her. Her own mother sat her down on the 4th day. "Do you love him?" she asked simply. "Yes, Mama." "Does he love you?" I think so, but his mother." Her mother held up a hand. "His mother is not your husband. She is his mother, but you are his wife, and if he cannot understand the difference, then you have a decision to make." On the 5th day, someone unexpectedly showed up at her mother's door. Mama Tunde. Chioma stared at her mother-in-law standing on the veranda, looking smaller somehow without her usual armor of arrogance. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. They sat in the living room, tension thick between them. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Mama Tunde sighed, a sound that seemed to come from deep in her chest. My husband died when Tunde was 15, she began. I raised that boy alone. I worked 3 jobs. I sold akara in the morning, cleaned offices in the afternoon, and sewed clothes at night. Everything I did, every kobo I saved was for him, to send him to university, to make him somebody. Chioma listened, saying nothing. When he brought you home, I saw someone who would take him away from me, someone who didn't struggle like I struggled, someone who didn't appreciate what I sacrificed. Mama Tunde's voice cracked slightly. I was wrong. Chioma's eyes widened. Tunde hasn't eaten properly in 5 days. He barely sleeps. He walks around that house like a ghost. Yesterday he shouted at me. My son, who has never raised his voice to me, shouted at me. He said I drove away the best thing that ever happened to him.
Happy. Tears welled in the older woman's eyes. I came here to say I was wrong. I was wicked to you. I treated you like an enemy when you only ever tried to be my daughter. I was afraid of losing my son, and instead I almost cost him his wife. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small wrapped package. This was my mother's. She gave it to me when I married. It's supposed to go to my son's wife. With shaking hands, Chioma unwrapped it. Inside was a beautiful coral beaded bracelet, old and precious. I should have given this to you at your wedding, Mama Tunde whispered. I should have welcomed you. Instead, I made your life hell. Please, please come home. Not for me, for my son. And if you come back, I promise you, things will be different. I will be different. Chioma looked at this woman who had made her cry, who had belittled her, who had tried to break her spirit. And she saw something she hadn't seen before. A scared, lonely woman who loved her son so much it had twisted into something ugly. Mama, Chioma said slowly, if I come back, things will be different. But not just you, me too. I won't be silent anymore. I won't let anyone disrespect me in my home, not even you. If you want to be part of our family, you have to learn to respect that I am Tunde's wife, and this is my home too. Mama Tunde nodded, wiping her eyes. I understand. And you have to move out. Mama Tunde's head jerked up. Not forever, Chioma continued firmly. But you can't live with us anymore. We will help you find your own place nearby. We will visit you. You will visit us. But Tunde and I need space to build our marriage without you in the middle of it every day. For a moment, Mama Tunde looked like she might argue. Then slowly, she nodded again. You are tougher than I thought, she said, almost admiringly. Maybe my son chose better than I gave you credit for. I know he did, Chioma said firmly. When Chioma walked back into her home that evening, Tunde nearly fell over himself running to embrace her. I'm so sorry, he said into her hair. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. I should have stood up for you. I was a coward. Yes, you were, Chioma agreed, pulling back to look at him. But you're going to do better now. We both are. Mama Tunde had indeed moved out, into a nice one-bedroom apartment Tunde found for her just 15 minutes away. The transition wasn't smooth. There were still moments of tension, still times when the old Mama Tunde would emerge and try to take over. But Chioma had found her voice. When Mama Tunde visited and started criticizing her cooking, Mama, if you don't like it, I can pack some for you to cook your own way at your house. When Mama Tunde tried to rearrange her kitchen, Mama, thank you for the suggestion, but I like my kitchen the way it is. When Mama Tunde hinted that she should be moving back in, Mama, you have a beautiful apartment. We love having you visit, but this is our home. And slowly, something miraculous happened. Mama Tunde started to respect her. It came in small ways at first, asking for Chioma's opinion instead of demanding things be done her way, complimenting a meal instead of criticizing it, calling before visiting instead of just showing up. One Sunday afternoon, 3 months after Chioma's return, the two women were in the kitchen together preparing jollof rice for a family gathering. They worked in companionable silence, moving around each other with ease. You know, Mama Tunde said suddenly, I never thought I would say this, but
I'm glad Tunde married you. You are strong, stronger than I gave you credit for. You don't just love my son, you push him to be better. You make him happy in a way I never could, because you're his partner, not his mother." She paused. "I was wrong to try to compete with you. A mother's love and a wife's love are different things. He needs both." Chioma felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you, Mama." "And you," Mama Tunde turned to face her, "you stood up for yourself without disrespecting me. You set boundaries without being cruel. You are a good woman, Chioma, a strong woman, the kind of woman who will raise strong children." She placed her hand on Chioma's stomach, her eyes questioning. Chioma smiled and nodded. Mama Tunde's face broke into the first genuine smile Chioma had ever seen from her. My grandchild. You see, God is faithful. When did you find out?" "Last week. I wanted to wait to tell everyone together at dinner today." "Tunde knows?" "Not yet." Mama Tunde laughed, a real laugh, full and joyful. Okay, we must make this jollof perfect. This is a celebration." They cooked together, truly together for the first time. When the family gathered and Chioma made her announcement, Tunde shouted with joy, lifting her off her feet. Mama Tunde stood to the side, tears streaming down her face, but this time they were happy tears. Later that evening, as guests were leaving, Mama Tunde pulled Chioma aside. "I want you to know something," she said quietly. "When this baby comes, I will not overstep. I will not tell you how to raise your child. I will not move back in to help unless you ask me to. I will be a grandmother, not a dictator." Chioma squeezed her hand. "Mama, I will ask for your help. I'll need your wisdom, but I'll need it as advice from someone who loves us, not orders from someone who wants to control us." "I can do that," Mama Tunde nodded. "I can be that grandmother, that mother-in-law. You've taught me how." Chioma didn't defeat her mother-in-law by being cruel. She didn't win by being submissive either. She won by standing firm in her truth, by demanding respect while still offering love, and by refusing to shrink herself to make others comfortable. And Mama Tunde? She learned that letting go doesn't mean losing love. It means making room for more of it. Sometimes the evil mother-in-law doesn't need to be defeated. She just needs to meet someone strong enough to show her a better way to love. What's the hardest relationship you've had to navigate? Share your story in the comments below. And remember, respect given is respect earned. Subscribe for more stories of strength, family, and finding your voice.